when there's a team, it creates certain energy, certain actions, certain dynamics. And it is different from individual being just by alone, by himself or herself. So, the team dynamic. The first thing that we need to look at in terms of team dynamic is that a team dynamic should be horizontal. There's some vertical aspects in a team dynamic as well, but mostly in a church, in an organization, even in a company, today they go from vertical dynamic toward horizontal. So respecting one another, that's the basic of a good teamwork. So a leader, as a leader, you are trying to create that lateral or horizontal dynamic. So how do you do that? Just respect your co-workers, whether they are younger than you, less experienced, doesn't matter. Still, you are going to respect them and just give them the position, sense of position that you are being respected. And then when that happens, when it's horizontal, the dynamic should be democratic. Meaning, usually, people think a democratic means that a majority wins and the minority follows whatever the majority is preferring and going for. But the main element of a democratic or democracy is that each one individual is equal to another, whether female or male, or older or younger, experienced or less experienced, more talented or less talented. Doesn't matter. Everyone is equal. They have equal rights and equal as a person. So when you are working in a teamwork environment, you may have different skills. You may have different perspectives, but still, each individual is a person, and they are to be respected. Whether it's a working situation, whether it's a church, whether it's a family, doesn't matter. You need to be equal. So every person is a person, and in that regard, as a person, they are equal. That's the main thing in democracy. There's no one who's higher than you or more valuable than you. No. Functionally, yes. Ability, yes. The talents and skills, yes. There is someone who might be better than you or less than you. But as a person, everyone is equal. So that's the basic thing in a good, healthy teamwork. And if you, that is easier said than done. Easier said than done. But we are trying hard to be more democratic. And then third dynamic is cooperative, meaning working together to achieve something. So to do that, to be cooperative, you need to help, and the helping spirit. So always you seek and desire to help other person, and they also, you expect them to help you. So no one is claiming all the responsibility, or you should not claim all the authority. So cooperative, not only you are to have helping spirit, but you need to share things, share time, share the space, and share the experience, and share the worries, the difficulties. So to do that, to be cooperative, it is important to communicate. We talked about that last class, right? Good communication helps to cooperate one another. So without good communication, it is difficult to cooperate. So cooperate means operating together, working together. So that's another very important dynamic. Now, team dynamics. Whether you like it or not, as a team, it has to be goal-oriented. You cannot just emphasize a good relationship. I mean, it is important to have a good relationship to be a team. And a good team has a good relationship. But relationship itself does not achieve certain task. So to achieve a task, because if you're a team, there's a certain task, objective to achieve and accomplish and complete. So to do that, it is important to be goal-oriented. So there's this, you set the goal, and everyone goes toward that goal. And any of the team member does not agree to the goal, that team member should be persuaded. If not persuaded, then they should be out of the team. So, I mean, that's probably the best described in a sports. Okay? Whether you play soccer, baseball, or basketball, each team is to have fun and to win the game. That's the two goals for playing sport. And maybe you can add, by playing sports, you try to get healthier. So, get healthy, have some fun, and win the game. If you do not agree to those goals, and then you are not need to play in that team. So same thing in a church, in an organization, or in a business. If you do not agree with the goal, then you're not being a part of the team. So leader's job is to persuade each member toward that goal, make them to be goal-oriented. And you have to discern, or you have to look into the person, whether this person is really going for the goal or not. So that's your responsibility as a leader, to discern and to distinguish whether this person is a team player or not. And you don't really want to have someone who is not agreeing to the goal. Also, each team dynamic should be talent-based. That person is a member of your team because that person, he or she, has a certain talent or something to contribute to your team. And if that person does not do anything or doesn't have a certain talents or gifts or skills needed to be in a team, then he or she is not to be there. Unfortunately, there are many cases, examples where the team member does not have a certain set of skills or talents that is needed to be in that team. And in that case, what you can do as a leader is to train them, to educate them, and so that person can develop a certain talents so they can contribute to the team. If that does not happen, that team member is going to be a burden to your team. So each should have a certain talent, and your job is to develop their talents. And if they do not have a certain talent to be needed, then the member should not be in the team. So that's some of the team dynamics. And once you create a team, how do you partner with each other? I mean, as a leader, you are there to encourage that partnership, that teamwork, and it is very critical to know how to do it. And that's probably one of the critical, necessary skills as a leader. And first one is we talked about consensus. Consensus is something that you each member, every member is to agree upon. And then you know, sometimes you need to spell out, to say what the consensus is, to confirm. So as a leader, when you have a discussion, then you end by saying, I understand this has been agreed upon. And just, look at the response. Everyone should say yes. And now you have certain consensus. Not every consensus has 100% agreement. And that is really difficult. So usually the consensus is created when there is no objection or no strong objection. And if there is anyone who is objecting strongly about the discussion or decision or agreement, then you do not have consensus. I mean, if it's like a team of 100 people, then you cannot have that kind of consensus. But in a small group, like a 10, 12, probably maximum 12, 3, 5, 7, then you should have a consensus. Especially when you are working in a business or working in a church. It is important to confirm and to reach that consensus. Consensus is sometimes it is not said or it is not written out. And you kind of assume that there is a consensus. And it is important for a leader to confirm that assumption. Unless you do that, then you will make many mistakes. Because what you're thinking that you have, you're assuming that you had a consensus. Many times you do not, because some people who are either passive or have a bad experience before with that leader, they will not speak out even if they disagree. And so, good leader knows who is not saying anything but he or she is not agreeing. So it is for you to discern and find out whether this person is agreeing or not. So it is always important to have consensus, because if you do not have consensus, even if you try to do something toward the goal, toward a task, it may not work as you expected. And then you have to do it all over again. So it's better not to hurry and just wait until you have a consensus on certain things. Okay, it is because any team, any group is grouped or teamed to achieve certain things. I mean, that's why a team is there. That's what the teamwork is by our definition. So a teamwork is there to create or to achieve or to complete certain tasks. And if you are to do that, then it is critical to have consensus. Then, number 2 is to appoint. Appoint is just saying, fingering, you do this, you do that. And you have to be very specific. And not only specific, it's better to go necessary details. When you're appointing someone to a certain task or a certain job, it is best for you to describe deeply and extensively and intensively about that job. So your job as a leader is to appropriate and to appoint a given job to relate to the given skills or set of skills or talents. So if she has a certain talents that's necessary, you think, and you give a job that is best for her. And if he has another kind of skill that is needed for this job, then you give this job to that person. So that's how it works. That's appointing. And it is your responsibility as a leader to do that. And if you don't do that, and you complain that why you guys are not working and then you are not being a good leader. So good leader always try to give best appointment to assignment to the person. So in other words is appoint or assign. Assign is giving the task or giving the responsibility. So appoint or assign. Designate is pretty similar to appoint, but designate is a naming to the position. And us Asian people are very sensitive about the position, the title. I'm not sure, but you know, even Westerners, they are sensitive about the title, but we are, Asians, more sensitive about the title. So to give a certain title means that he or she is ranked. Because our culture still, Asian culture, especially with the Confucian ideals, it is important to have a certain rank within the society. Even with the family, within the family, there's a rank. And first thing we try to do when we meet a new person, is to find out where I am standing, whether this person is above me or below me. That's the first thing that we are trying to find in Asian culture, right? So the ranking is very important in our culture, and designating is necessary for a good teamwork. We're still, being used to giving orders and giving orders, and that is very critical. Even though we think the teamwork is horizontal and lateral, and you have to respect one another, still there is a certain line of command or authority which is more important for us than this horizontal teamwork. So whether we like it or not, it is important to give a certain rank, naming, title. So that's designating. So you as a leader, it's important to set a certain rank and orders and try to keep it as it is, unless you need to change it. If you need to change, and then you need to go out and announce to everyone, this is how the rank is going to be changed. If you don't do that, and then your followers going to be very confused, and if that happens, your teamwork is going to be broken. So designating, naming, giving title, and setting up the rank is important in partnership, especially in an Asian culture. And delegating is little different from appointing or assigning. Assigning is giving a job for that person, so he or she can do whatever is responsible to that so-called job description. So you heard the word job description, right? Job description is what you are going to need to do. Delegate is giving your responsibility as a leader to your followers. So sharing some of your responsibility to others. Not because you are lazy and you don't work on certain job. That's not delegation. That's just giving the burden. I'm not talking about giving the burden. Delegation is you're trusting that person that he or she is matured, and you are giving some of your responsibility to that person. Because it is different from giving a burden, because with that responsibility, you are trying to give them same authority as well. So authority and responsibility goes together when you are delegating. So you are delegating some of your responsibility, your authority to your followers, and that is good way to partner. And some leaders doesn't want to do that. They do not want to do that. They don't want to delegate. They just give the burdens and ask them for the responsibilities which is not theirs. So delegation is different from assigning or appointing in that sense. So good leader knows how to delegate, and that's a very important part for creating a partnership. Okay, and continue on the same subject, how to partner. Number 5 is to give support. Once you delegate, and then you are to continue to support that person, not only monitor them and oversee them or direct them, you need to support. Give them the encouragement, give them the necessary means, teach them how to do it, and just help them when there's a need for help. That's how you support. So supporting one another, especially when a leader supports your member, that is going to be a great encouragement. It is another way of motivation. So you are motivating your followers and your team members by supporting. And the rapport is like a friendship. It's that intimacy. But rapport is different than friendship in sense that the rapport we are talking about here is within the team. It has to do with working together. So you give you build a friendship and then relationship as you continue to work together. That's the rapport. And so you need to build that rapport to trust and working together, getting to know that person, and coming closer, and just being united. That's the rapport. And commune. Okay, commune, that means thinking along the same line or thinking in the same way. So when you communicate well, then you are communing. So having the same thought, having the same desire, having the same vision, and having the same work ethics. These are all the elements of commune. So you commune and you think the same way, you have the same thoughts. That's commune. And it doesn't happen overnight. It may take a year, 2 or 3 years. Usually when you work together for 3 years, and if you're not having the commune or a sense of a community or a sense of unity, then there is some issues. So your expectation as a leader with your team member when you're trying to build a teamwork, you are building that sense of community, sense of togetherness, sense of unity. That's having community. Then encourage a leader to have a good teamwork. You need to encourage them. Sometimes you need to be very critical and tell them what is wrong and even punish them and discipline them. But that's not, that might be part of encouragement, but I'm talking about the positive encouragement. Positive encouragement is when someone has done something good for the team, for the achievement of task. You say it out. You have to express it, and sometimes you reward that. And if you're a teacher and working with students, whether it's a school environment or in a church environment, it's important for you to express your appreciation to them. And that's encouragement. And there are many different ways to encourage your members. But whenever that person is done the positive thing, that you have to find a way to express that and to announce that. Because when everyone is together, you need to encourage them. Not just only one-on-one and personal base, but as a group, when you're sitting together or working together, just express that encouragement. So everyone knows that this person has done good. And don't try to do that to just to one person only, and always one person. That's favoritism. And the favoritism is something that's against the teamwork. So try to find the good things in everyone and give them equal opportunities and equal amount of attention in encouraging them. So encouragement is very key for not only the motivation, it helps you to build that teamwork. So not only you give encouragement to your members, but let each member encourage one another. And you have to encourage them to encourage one another. So that's another aspect of encouragement. So that's how you build a strong teamwork. There are many other ways, but these are some of the important means or method or techniques to create a partnership. Now, there is always something that's against, having the good partnership or teamwork. And these are some of the, things that goes against teamwork, or sometimes even these things break the team or teamwork. First thing is envy. Envy is a desire to be above another person. See, that's really like a cancer to a teamwork. But every person has the envy inside. I mean, that's a human nature, because we are so sinful in our being. Even the Christians, so-called born-again Christians, still we have that envy. I mean, it's always there throughout your life. You are as a devoted Christian, you are trying to just suppress it and not to actually engage in the act of envy, but it is there. You are always tempted to be better than others, to be above others. That's envy, and there's a good desire to be better than others. But when you say better than others, the term itself is envy. You are just trying to be best of yourself. That's a biblical. Trying to be best of yourself is biblical. But if you try to be better than others, then there are always that others, unnamed others, and that's not biblical. So, Bible teaches you to be best of yourself, and that's not an envy. But if you compare yourself and try to be better than others, just so you can direct them or teach them or even manipulate them, and that's not a good thing, and it's called envy. So that envy, if it's there, if it's expressed, I told you that it's going to be inside you always, but if it's expressed and acted out, then it causes team to break. Then the pride. Pride is pretty similar to envy. And pride says, I am better than you. I'm better than you. so if it's an envy is a desire, pride is saying that out and expressing that. So envy and pride goes together. Then jealousy, it always goes to, because there's an envy and there's a pride, then there's a jealousy. Jealousy says when someone does something better than you, then you feel pretty bad. I mean, there's that feeling. Why am I not better than that person? Or why is that person is better than me? Because you think that person is just same as you are, and he or she is always being praised, and then they are rewarded when you are not, and that's jealousy. And when there is a jealousy in a team, it's common sense that the team is not going to work. But the problem is everyone has jealousy inside as well as they have envy. So when you see someone who is doing better than you, who is smarter than you, who is doing things faster, more efficient, and having a better grade, then you don't feel good inside. That's jealousy. And jealousy is something that needs to be discouraged, not to be encouraged in a team. Okay. Because of these, envy, pride, and jealousy, there's needless competition. And again, in a Korean culture, I'm sure with the Chinese culture, we are encouraged to be better than others. And there's always that first place. First place is very important. I mean, you need to get a first place in a classroom. And if you are always encouraged to compete with others. That's our culture. But the Bible does not do that. I mean, Christians are not encouraged to compete with others. So competition is sometimes necessary. The positive competition is necessary, but it should be limited. And most of competition are needless. But for some reason, in modern society, especially in Asian culture, Asian societies, we are encouraged to compete and win over others. And that's a value that even culture and society is encouraging, which is not biblical or Christian. So there's that issue of conflict. Even in a church, in a Korean church, for example, you are encouraged to be best. Best. And you are encouraged to compete, even spiritually. So they count whether you're coming to church every Sunday, and if you're not coming to church every Sunday, then you are less than others. So that kind of competition is there always. So needless competition is against the teamwork. There are a few other things that breaks the teamwork. Lack of communication. We talked about this in communication. So there's always need to be an active communication, talking to one another, asking the questions, giving the informations and the data, and whether it's phone, text, or emails, or face-to-face conversation, you need to encourage that. So more context and more communication is better for teamwork. And that's why we have some, those conferences. So lack of communication will break the teamwork. Then team leaders. Probably that's the most and the last thing that breaks the teamwork. So, when you examine the bad teamwork, most likely 90% you're gonna find a bad leader. So when there's a bad teamwork, usually the cause is bad leader. That means we need a good leader to build partnership and teamwork. And so that's why it is important for us to learn and educate ourselves about this leadership. And secrecy. Many times the secrecy is necessary for a good, healthy teamwork. If you have spoken with one of your members, and if it's a private issue, then you need to keep it as a secret, unless that member agrees to share that with all the team members or with all the group. But usually it's not the case. And but the other way, on the other hand, there's unnecessary secrecy. Some leaders manipulate the team by giving certain favoritism, and they create that favoritism by having some secrecy between that member. Not inclusive, just exclusive. So you share this secret with just one or two members of the group when there's 12 members, then that's not good. That's unnecessary secrecy. So those kind of secrecy, people will not know at the beginning, but as time goes by, you're gonna sense there's something going on between that leader and then the member. Then you know that you are excluded. And they share certain secret, because they kind of give that eye contact, and you know and you sense that there is a certain secrecy going on. In Korean culture, we call that nunchi. Nunchi means I sense. So you by that there's a certain thing going on. So then when that happens, it breaks teamwork. It's not good for the teamwork. And team within the team, that goes along with that certain unnecessary secrecy. When there's a member of 12 in your group, most likely you have 2 or 3 different groups within a group. Sometimes it's positive, because you may give a smaller team to work on certain project or task. But if there's a team, group of people who are getting along together, just excluding others, and then you are breaking the team. So team within the team is not good. It's not good for the partnership. And whether we like it or not, it's going to happen, and you need to be aware of that. And the leader try to break that team within the team. If you do all the positive things to create a healthy teamwork, these things may not happen, and even if it happens, it's gonna be diminished and decreased. So that is the problems and issues and difficulties regarding the teamwork. Okay, why don't we have a 10 minutes break and come back and yeah. Is that right? Thank you. Okay, you can start working on your quiz. There you go.
你考吗？
没有啊，是，没有。对啊。
Okay, let's go over the quiz together. Quiz number 7. And this is about the last class that we did. Number 1, the definition. Either a pair of people engaged together in the same activity is called D, partners, right? So, number 1, answer is D. Number 2, again, a definition. A group of believers having the unity to bring the kingdom of God is A, company, B, ministry team, C, choir, D, developer. Answer is ministry team. Number 3, again the definition. The combined action of a group of people, especially when effective and efficient, It is called A, teamwork, B, handiwork, C, hard work, D, mission work. The answer is, of course, teamwork. A. Question number 4. Which of the following is not a reason to work together as a team? We just had that in the first session. A, synergy, B, pride, C, efficiency, D, effectiveness, and E, diverse gifts. The answer would be B, pride. You are not doing a teamwork to create a pride for you. So the answer is B. Number 5. Which of the following is not a characteristic of a healthy teamwork? So which is not the part of healthy teamwork? A, horizontal, B, democratic, C, cooperative spirit, D, envy. And the answer is D, envy. Desire to be better than others, or comparing yourself. Number 6, question number 6. Which of the following is a characteristic of healthy teamwork? Number 5 said not a characteristic, but this one, which is a mutual respect, B, goal-oriented drive, C, talent-based contribution, D, all of the above. Answer would be D, all of the above. All are correct answers. Number 7, which of the following is not the good ways to partner with others? A, listen to consensus, B, appoint, C, designate, D, delegate works, E, none. Answer would be E, none. You don't find anything that is not the good ways. Everything is good. Number 8, which of the following is the good ways to partner with others? A, support each other, B, commune with others, C, discourage weaker ones, D, ask for opinions, E, all of the above. The answer is discourage weaker ones. Oops. Yeah, I made a mistake on this. It's a good ways. Good ways. A, B, and D. Okay. A, B, and D are the good ways to partner with others. Number 9. Which of the following may cause to break partnership? A, envy, B, pride, C, jealousy, D, competitions, E, lack of communications. Everything. So all of the above, A, B, C, D, E is the answers to the question number 9. Number 8 answer is again A, B, and D. Okay. Number 10. Which of the following may not cause to break teamwork? A, needless secrecy, B, unhealthy team within the team, C, immature team leader, D, sincere intercessory prayer. Answer is D. A good prayer may not cause to break the teamwork. It actually builds the team. Okay, please make sure that you have your names on it and forward to me.
sorry, 8.
Okay.
And the 9 and 10, what answer is correct?
9 is all of them are correct answers.
Oh,
A, B, C, D, E.
okay. And
Number 10 is number D.
Or 8. How about 8?
8. Okay. Answer for 8 is A,
C.
B, and D.
A, B, D.
3 and 3 and 2.
A, B, C, D, E.
A, B, D.
E
C,
A, B, C, D, E.
A, B, C, D, E.
全部啊
That was a trick question.
We can make a new answer. F, all of this.
All of the above is not the
Yes, all
answer.
of the above.
That was a trick. Okay. Thank you. Okay, just announcement. If you miss the class, you still have a chance to make up. Because each class is basically, I give 9 points. You get 1 point no matter what. But to get the rest of 9 points, you need to be either in the class, do the quiz, and read the assignment. But if you miss the class, you still just go over the subject on that class and write a 1-page report. 1 page, just this much. Double space, okay? Double space, and the letter size, the font size 10. Okay? And just write your reflection, or just read the book. I mean the handbook, and write something. And I think the video is on Moodle on the school site. So you can go on to Moodle and view the video of the class. So if you missed, you still have a chance to make up. And we'll have a final test. And test is going to come out of those quiz that we had. And I'm going to give you back the quiz next week, so you can study for the final. Okay? So it's going to be the exact same questions. Easy enough, right? So just study your quiz, and I'll probably pick up 25 of them for you to just review on it. So that's going to be final quiz and a final test. So we have 2 more classes coming, and I hope and pray that you come and listen and just check the attendance sheet, and everyone get an A. Okay? And that's what I'm hoping for. So just be prepared and do the assignment. And if you have missed the class, just do this 1-page report on each class that you missed, and you'll be fine. You don't want to get a D, probably you're not going to get F, but still, you don't want to get a D. That's not good. Because this school grade, whether you like it or not, it follows you all throughout your life. Some people, some companies, they are going to ask you a transcript of your college grade. And that's why we need to do good on each class. Now let's continue on lesson 7-2. So leader, partners. Leader motivates, leader mentors, and leader communicates, and leader partners. Now a leader follows. Even if you're a leader, not only you lead, you have to follow. So let's see what and who to follow. Followership. In Mark chapter 1, verse 17, in the Bible it says, "Come follow me," Jesus said, "and I will send you out to fish for people. So Jesus said, follow me. So every biblical leader, Christian leader, he or she follows Jesus. That's the first thing for any leader. So following Jesus is very important. If you're not following Jesus, you're not being a biblical leader. You may be a leader, but you're not going to be a biblical leader. Okay. First Thessalonian says, but we request of you, brethren, that you appreciate those who diligently labor among you, and you have charge over you in the Lord and give you instructions, and that you esteem them very highly in love because of their work. Live in peace with one another. So this is about leadership, and there's always someone above you, and you need to respect them. You need to esteem them, and that means you follow them. So there is a leader must follow someone. Okay, if you're a Christian and if you're a Christian leader, this applies to the Christian leaders, and you may not believe in Jesus Christ. If that's the case, this is not you. But since we are talking about the biblical leadership, this must be included in my instruction. So excuse me, if you are not a believer, and still you just think this is how the Christian leaders believe. Okay. So if you are a Christian leader, biblical leader, you follow Father. Isaiah, he's one of the great big prophets. It said, so do not fear, for I am with you. This is God is saying to Isaiah, do not be dismayed, for I am your God. This is what God is telling. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. So God's right hand is holding a Christian leader and does all these things. So you follow God if you're a Christian leader. Not only you follow Jesus. Jesus told his disciples, follow me. And every believer is a disciple of Jesus Christ. So we are to follow Jesus. Philippians, I can do all this through him who gives me strength. Through him, who? Jesus Christ. So through Jesus Christ, we are able to do all these things as a Christian leader. So in other words, without Jesus Christ, you are not doing anything. Even if you do something, that does not mean that doesn't mean anything to God. So that's what we believe. Follows Holy Spirit. Okay. 1 Corinthians chapter 6. Do you not know that your bodies are temple of the Holy Spirit? Bible says your body, this body is the temple of Holy Spirit. So Holy Spirit is residing in us. Who is in you, says, whom you have received from God. You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. So the Holy Spirit is in us, and we are to follow the Holy Spirit. So Father, the Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. This is what who we follow as a believer. And then we follow Kingdom of God. All these things, because if you are a believer, you are doing this for the Kingdom of God. The Kingdom of God is the final thing. That's what we are believing. And it is written in Matthew, but seek first his kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given or added to you as well. So first thing we seek or follow is the kingdom. And you are to follow authorities. Not only the Bible teaches you have to follow God, but they tell you to follow other leaders. In Hebrews, book of Hebrews, remember your leaders who spoke the word of God to you. Consider the outcome of their way of life. Imitate their faith. So we see the leader and we try to follow them. Even in a church, if you're a leader, you still have another leader above you, and you are to follow them. That's what we call authorities or another leader. And you are to follow principles. James 3:1. Not many of you should become teachers, my fellow believers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. Leaders, this is for Christian leaders, but I think it applies to any leader. If you're a leader, you are going to be judged more strictly, meaning you have more responsibilities. You are to follow those principles. So they see you and they'll follow the principle. If you don't follow the principles, they will not follow you or the principle. So it is important for us to follow principles. Another word. Now the overseer is to be above reproach, faithful to his wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach. See, these are the principles an elder or a deacon in a church should follow. So if you're a leader in a church, you are to follow these principles in the Bible. Okay, and then you are following the vision. Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So our vision as a Christian leader, a biblical leader, is God's vision. God's vision is going to be our vision. Our vision has to be God's vision. If that's different, and then you are not a Christian leader. You cannot qualify as a Christian leader. So we follow the vision. Okay. Let's see. We'll continue with lesson 8.1. So this is part 4, doings of a leader. And part 4 is for strategize, meaning making strategy. A leader makes a strategy. And so you are to strategize and strategy is this. You plan and you do and then check and act and plan again. So it runs in a cycle. So this is the basic concept of a strategy. So strategy involves planning and doing and then checking and acting. So leader plans. First thing is about the strategy is that you plan. So planning and plan is very important for anything. I mean, for family, you need to plan. For yourself, you need to plan. As a church, as a business, you need to plan. But planning is preparing for the future. Not only you're preparing for the future, planning is you are being responsible for the future. So there's a story in the Bible. I mean, this is what Jesus taught. We call a parable of a tower. Yeah, and it's in the Gospel of Luke. So the story goes like this. I mean, it is teaching. Jesus saying, which of you wishing to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost to see if he has the resources to complete it? Otherwise, if he lays the foundation and is unable to finish the work, everyone who sees it will ridicule him, laugh at it, saying, this man could not finish what he started to build. So this is a famous story, the parable of tower. And then evil in details, Nehemiah. Nehemiah was a Jewish leader who were captured and lived as a diaspora in Babylon. And he went back to rebuild the Jerusalem. And he said, I also said to him, if it pleases the king, may letters be given to me for the governors west of the Euphrates, so that they will grant me safe passage until I reach Judah. And may I have a letter to Asaph, keeper of the king's forest, so that he will give me timber to make beams for the gates of the citadel to the temple, for the city wall, and for the house I will occupy. So he was asking the Babylonian king to send him to the Jerusalem to rebuild the construct the walls of Jerusalem again, because it's all burned during the war. And he thought of all the details before he faced the king. So you need to prepare. This is a story of a preparation. Now, core concepts and terms regarding the planning. So planning, there are many things, many elements involved in a good planning. So you want to have a good planning, not the bad one. Not all the plannings are good ones. So you want to have a good planning. And you need to understand these concepts. So first, you're going to ask, whose plan is this? Whose plan is this? Is it divine plan? I mean God's plan? And for the Christian believers, you need to ask this question. Is this God's plan or someone else's plan? Also, is it my plan? You don't want someone else's plan. You want your plan. Because you are going to be the one who is going to be responsible for any strategy. So strategy, when you're planning, ask, is this my plan? Usually someone tells you and someone gives the ideas and you try to build on it. If you cannot make that idea as yours, you're not going to succeed. So it is important to ask, is this my plan or someone else's? If it's their plan, you don't want to, sometimes you don't want to do it. But sometimes it needs to be their plan as well. Not just my plan, it has to be their plan. So when that happens, it becomes our plan. So in a group, a business, family, a church, you want to have our plan rather than your plan, his plan. No, it should be God's plan, their plan, and my plan, and thus becomes our plan. You're planning for these. So these topics are very important for planning, and you need to understand the concepts. You plan, so you want to bring the change. Sometimes change it to yourself, change it to your family, change it to your church, and change it to your business. Of course, these changes has to be positive, good change, improvement, or development. These are the changes that we are aiming for. So when you plan, when you make a strategy, you are thinking of these changes, and each changes are critical. Number one, first one is to transform. To transform. To transform is to change the nature, the essence. So transform always changes something that's inside. Transform begins with something that's not visible. So without changing the inside, something, the essence, the transform does not happen. So transform is changing something that's inside, that's basic, that's fundamental. If you change that, bring that change to the fundamental for the good, for positive, and you are doing the transformation. So that's the concept of transform. Reform. Reform is to go back to the original. To go back to the original. And that original has to be perfect and good. So when we talk about like a business church reform, meaning that we are going to the best state that we know. So that's the reform. We change current state so we can go back to the original state, which was perfect and good. Then renew. Renew is adding or making something that's new to your current state. Your current state may not be bad, it might be good, but renewing is adding something to that extra. So that's renewing, and that to bring to grow and mature better. So renew is a little different than reform in that sense. You're bringing something that's new, that has never been done, while the reform is going back to the original perfect state. Many cases you never experienced that original perfect state yet. So you renew and add something new values, new objectives, new vision, so you can come back. You know the growth. Okay, then expand. To expand is to broaden the area, the territory. So that's something that doesn't need much explanation. We'll continue. Reinforce. Reinforce is to make you or yourself or your family or your organization stronger. So you strengthen the weak part. That's your strategy need to apply so that organization is stronger. So to do that, you need to find which part is weak, and you're strengthening that. So reinforce. And the transit. That's another part of doing the development or change. And your strategy always need to think of transit. transfer. So you are giving what you have to the next generation, the followers, the members. So transit or transfer is very important part of your strategy to bring the necessary positive changes. And shift. Shift is just forgetting about everything, your current state, and rebuilding from A to C, not to B. Totally different. So you say gear shift in while you are driving, right? And so it's totally different stage or different level. You're going up from level A to level C, or method A to method C. So that's a shift. So forgetting about everything current or the past and doing anything that's new, that's shift. And replace is just taking this away and bringing something different. So it's similar to shift, but you have something that might be old or used, and then you have to replace that. So these are the concepts about the free change. Planning principles. If you are going to plan, you need to be aware of these principles, and this is very important. You need to learn and make this your own if you are to be a good leader. First, you need to plan the time. Plan the time. Plan the time. Because all the planning and strategy has to do with the future. And the future in you is in your hand. If you have a good plan, if you have a good plan, the future is at your hand. So first, plan ahead. Plan ahead. Many people are planning for a week or a month. But good leaders plan for a year or years. So good strategy covers more years than the short term. So plan ahead means think of like 10 years, 20 years ahead if possible. Many times it's not possible, but at least you will be able to imagine what is going to happen in 10 years or 20 years. So good planning involves thinking ahead of time. And then, end in mind, meaning think of the end. How am I going to end this project or this plan or this program? So you have to have a clear, a good, specific, and overall picture about what's the end is going to be like. So even if you're running a business, you know how. You cannot do the business forever. Many times it doesn't happen there. Even a good company, it's hard for them to go 100 years. So everything ends, right? So good strategy and good planning, think about the end. See, we're not going to live forever. We are going to die. We are going to get old and die. So if you're a good planner, you're thinking about your death. How am I going to end my life? What do you want to write on your tombstone? So how do you want your people remember you when you're gone? So that's thinking about the end. So the end is important when you begin something. So when you begin something, the strategy, the planning, think of the end. and you have to picture a good picture of the end. The next, write a narrative. So the end just does not happen. It doesn't happen. So to have a good end, you are going to write a narrative, a story. So story has to have a plot and certain connections. If you write a story and you're filling the blanks, then you're thinking of the beginning. I mean, you're here to begin the planning. And then planning should include all the in between. So if you have a good story, good narrative, then you have a good end. You're thinking of the end, and if you don't have these narratives, the stories in between, then you're just dreaming. I mean, it's a good thing to dream about something, but dream is just a dream. It's a dream because it's not going to happen. But to make a dream into reality, you have to have a good, detailed story, day by day or month by month story. You're going to write a story, and this is going to happen within a week, and then second week this is going to happen. So to prepare for a class, like a 10-week class like this one, I have to have a narrative, right? Before I come to first class, I have to have a story narrative about this class, what's going to happen the first lesson, and second week I'm going to have to do this and that. So that's the narrative. So having a good narrative is key to a good plan. Then long-term to short-term. There's a long-term planning and short-term planning. Both of them are important. You should have a long-term, and then to reach that long-term, to have a narrative, you have to have a short-term plans. And those little short-term plans are connected and then become a long-term plan. So to have a good long-term plan is to have a good short-term plan. So that's a trick to the good planning. So plan ahead. And so it's not about having time, it's about making time. Making time means that you are making preparations, plans. So without plans, you are not going to make time, right? So if you're just having time, you're not having a strategy. So making time is having strategy. Plan the reality. Many plans just end up as dreams because people do not know how to make a dream into reality. So to be a good business person, or to be a good mother, good father, it involves strategy. Even your life, personal life, needs a strategy, because what you are hoping for, what you are wishing for, to make it a reality, it takes a kind of skills which is called the leadership. So leadership has to do with making dreams into reality. To do that, first, you have to know what's the difference between the ideal and practical. Ideal and practical. Ideal is in the level of dreams. You can imagine. In your head, your mind, you can think of anything, everything. In your mind, everything is possible. But in reality, not everything is possible. There's something that is possible, there's something that is not possible, or even impossible. So practical means something that's feasible and possible. So you have to know the difference between these. But I'm not telling you not to be ideal. You need to be ideal. You need to dream. Without dream, there's not going to be any reality. So you have to have a dream that you can work on. So you can make that happen into reality. But to bring the dream or the ideal into reality, there is certain process, certain things to be considered. So make that difference. Not everything is possible in this real world. Then write the details. I mean, imagination to reality, I spoke about it. Write the details. When you begin to write the things, then it becomes real. So you imagine something, if you dream something, if you have idea, begin to write into black and white, into your pages. And when you do that, you will see if this is possible, whether this is possible or not. So think of details. I mean, dream is the whole picture. It's a big thing. It's vague. But when you go into details, you see, this is possible, this is not possible. You know that. So writing into the plan, into details, that's a key to making dream into reality. And this is called POGAS in 6W1H. I'll speak about it later. And multiple scenarios. Many people usually stick to plan A. And that's not only plan A, that's plan only. One plan. And people are stubborn for some reason. When we are fixed to certain ideas or a certain plan, and you don't think about other possibilities. But life is with many unknowns, and unexpected happen. There are things beyond your control. Because of those reasons, we need to have other plans. Plan A, Plan B, at least Plan C. 3 different plans needed when you're doing something. Even if you're going for a picnic, you need to have a plan A, B, and C. And that way you're not going to, you're not likely to fail. Yeah, for a date, if you're going out a date, you should have a plan A, plan B, and plan C at least. Because there is a lot of unknowns. What you have planned, your partner may not like that. And then you need to come up with another plan. So multiple scenarios is critical for a good strategy and good plan. So strategy involves having different set of plans. That's why it is difficult to plan, because you're not thinking about just one solid plan you believe and you wish to happen. Okay? But the reality is not, your plan may not happen the way you thought. Usually that's the reality. 99%, I think. So you have to think of all these different factors that are critical to your plan, your strategy, and think of other possibilities, other options, the obstacles and the hindrance and the chances. So if you do that, then you will be successful as a leader, as a business person, as a mother, father, to have a multiple scenarios is important, which makes you kind of gives you a headache. But 10-minute headache is better than 10 years of agony, right? So if you think of 10 minutes intensively and plan, then you may avoid other difficulties. So that's why we need to have a multiple scenarios, multiple possibilities, options. So I think we'll stop here and continue next week. And just remind them that you have a way to add, improve your grades if you have missed it. Thank you and have a nice day.